In the annals of organized crime, there are few figures as chilling and remorseless as Giovanni Brusca. Arrested in 1996, 4 years after he orchestrated a devastating bomb attack that claimed the lives of renowned Italian magistrate Giovanni Falcone, his wife, and 3 brave policemen, Brusca's name became synonymous with terror. With a nickname that sends shivers down the spine, the People Slayer lived up to his infamous reputation, confessing to his involvement in over 100 murders, including the unthinkable death of a 14-year-old boy. In this video, we'll explore the life of this ex-convict and how he became a living hell to people. The Abduction. On June 4th, 1993, a gripping story unfolded involving Santino De Matteo, a member of the Sicilian Mafia. Santino found himself in a tight spot, captured by the Italian police. In a desperate bid to secure a reduced sentence, he made a daring decision. He became an informant. Santino provided the police with detailed information about a notorious mob hitman named Giovanni Brusca. This was no ordinary case. Brusca had carried out the cold-blooded murder of an anti-mafia prosecutor. Snitching on someone like Brusca meant trouble on a whole new level for Santino, as he knew the mafia would stop at nothing to seek revenge. But here's the heartbreaking part of this story. Santino had a 12-year-old son named Giuseppe De Matteo. The young boy became a liability for Santino, as he couldn't hide him from the ruthless cartel. Faced with a difficult choice, Santino pleaded with the police to place Giuseppe in witness protection until the danger subsided. Little did Santino know that the mafia had eyes and ears within the police force. As soon as Giuseppe was placed in witness protection, the informant within the police tipped off Giovanni Brusca and his men about the boy's location. There was no safe haven for Giuseppe. In a stroke of diabolical genius, Giovanni devised a plan to capture Giuseppe. He enlisted 2 members of the mafia to dress up as police officers and infiltrate the hideout where the boy was being kept. Approaching Giuseppe, they convinced him that they were taking him to see his father in police custody. Trusting their ruse, Giuseppe innocently followed, unaware of the impending doom that awaited him. Giovanni Brusca, as much of a killer as he was, is known for showing twisted brilliance in his evil plans. Kidnapping Santino's son was a move that would strike at the very heart of his enemy, causing unimaginable pain. It's difficult to comprehend how someone could commit such heinous acts, especially targeting innocent children. But before we go into the aftermath of this bold kidnapping, let's explore Giovanni Brusca's journey into darkness and its deep roots that date back generations. His family history within the Sicilian Mafia played a significant role in shaping his path. How? Evil family train? Giovanni's great-grandfather, grandfather, and even his father, Bernardo Brusca, were all involved in the Corleonese clan of the Sicilian Mafia. Bernardo held a prominent position as the head of the San Giuseppe Jato district, further cementing the family's ties to organized crime. Born on 20th February 1957 and growing up in San Giuseppe Jato, a small town in Palermo, Italy, Giovanni was exposed to the ruthless world of the mafia from a young age. Initially serving as a mere driver for Toto Arena, Giovanni's life took a dramatic turn when his father was arrested in 1985 and sentenced to life imprisonment for multiple homicides. Inheriting his father's position, Giovanni stepped into the role of the head of the San Giuseppe Jato district. With great power and numerous men under his command, Giovanni's true nature began to emerge. It's hard to say if he was simply influenced by the environment or if there was something inherently dark within him. Perhaps he was possessed by a metaphorical demon, or maybe he always had a demonic side lurking within. Regardless, the actions he carried out were far from normal, pushing the boundaries of what any ordinary person could stomach. The depths of Giovanni Brusca's depravity and his willingness to commit unspeakable acts speak to the frightening and disturbing nature of his character. Gruesome murderer. Giovanni Brusca was indeed known for his sadistic methods and the extreme brutality he inflicted on his victims. He took pleasure in making people suffer before their eventual deaths. Some of the gruesome methods he employed included using hammers to shatter bones, using pliers to torture and mutilate ears, nails, and fingers until victims bled to death. He would then dispose of the bodies, either by chopping them into parts and roasting them on a grill or dissolving them in acid to eliminate any traces. One of the most high-profile murders attributed to Giovanni Brusca was the assassination of anti-mafia prosecutor Giovanni Falcone. Toto Riina, a prominent mafia figure, ordered Brusca to carry out this killing as a way to avenge his father's conviction and that of other mafia members. Brusca orchestrated a car explosion by planting 13 drums of TNT and Cemex explosives beneath a motorway. When Falcone and his family crossed the marked road, Brusca detonated the explosives, instantly killing Falcone, his wife, and 3 bodyguards. Throughout his criminal career, Brusca carried out numerous assassinations on behalf of the mafia bosses. He killed rival bosses, powerful businessmen, and individuals with political connections. In one particularly disturbing case, he targeted 3 men who drove a similar type of vehicle as his intended target. Unable to identify the exact target, he decided to kill all 3 of them. However, the most chilling act attributed to Giovanni Brusca involved the kidnapping and murder of Giuseppe De Matteo, the son of Santino De Matteo, who had turned informant. In retaliation for Santino's cooperation with the authorities, the Mafia abducted Giuseppe on November 23, 1993. Posing as police officers, they deceived the young boy, telling him he would be reunited with his father, who was in police protection on the Italian mainland. Tragically, Giuseppe's fate was sealed as he fell into the hands of the Mafia. The details of what happened to him are horrifying and go beyond what can be considered normal or acceptable. The torture. After capturing Giuseppe De Matteo, Giovanni Brusca ordered his men to move the young boy to a secluded safe house, hidden away from prying eyes. It was there that the nightmare truly began for little Giuseppe. The walls of the safe house whispered with a cold and unimaginable sense of dread as the Mafia's sadistic acts began to take hold of him. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months as Giovanni's henchmen subjected Giuseppe to unimaginable torture and torment. They reveled in their sadistic power, finding pleasure in the suffering they inflicted upon the innocent child. Giuseppe's cries for mercy echoed through the desolate halls, falling on deaf ears. The Mafia had taken away his childhood, replacing it with a relentless nightmare. Meanwhile, the police discovered that Giuseppe was missing, and the news reached his father, Santino De Matteo. The anguish and desperation in Santino's heart were immeasurable. He would stop at nothing to rescue his beloved son from the clutches of Giovanni Brusca and his merciless gang. Santino embarked on a perilous journey to Sicily, seeking to negotiate Giuseppe's release, but the Mafia's grip was unyielding. Santino tirelessly pursued any lead that could bring him closer to his son. The weight of his desperation bore heavily on his shoulders, but he refused to succumb to despair. Every fiber of his being was consumed by the burning desire to bring his son back home. However, fate had a cruel twist in store. On that fateful day, January 11, 1996, after enduring an agonizing 779 days of captivity, Giuseppe's frail body could no longer withstand the relentless torment. Giovanni Brusca, sensing that the walls were closing in on him, made the chilling decision to silence the young boy forever. Enzo Brusca, Giovanni's own brother, Vincenzo Chiodo, and Salvatore Monticciolo were tasked with carrying out the gruesome act. In a grim chamber of horrors, Giuseppe's life was extinguished, his innocent soul forever scarred by the brutality he endured. To erase any evidence of their monstrous crime, the Mafia's executioners dissolved Giuseppe's body in a barrel of acid, a macabre practice known as the lupara bianca. The memory of the young boy's suffering would forever haunt those who knew of the atrocities committed by Giovanni Brusca and his accomplices. During this dark period, Giovanni Brusca was deeply involved in the campaign of terror orchestrated by the Corleonesi against the state. It was a time of retaliation and defiance, following the murders of anti-mafia magistrates Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino. The bombings orchestrated by the Mafia struck fear into the hearts of the Italian people. Landmarks of cultural heritage, such as the Uffizi Gallery, were scarred by the explosions, leaving a trail of devastation, death, and injured victims in their wake. The reign of Giovanni Brusca and the Corleonesi was marked by a level of brutality that surpassed all boundaries of humanity. Their actions sent shockwaves through society, exposing the dark underbelly of organized crime and the depths to which some individuals were willing to sink in pursuit of power and control. Arrest. On that fateful day of May 20th, 1996, Giovanni Brusca's reign of terror came to an abrupt end. The small house in the Sicilian countryside near Agrigento, where he had sought refuge, became the site of his downfall. Unknown to him, the authorities had been closing in on his location, tracing his movements through intercepted phone calls. As Brusca sat down to dine with his girlfriend, their young son, and his brother Vincenzo, little did he know that the walls were closing in around him. A plainclothes officer riding a motorbike unknowingly passed by the house, and the noise he generated was picked up by officers monitoring Brusca's intercepted phone call. The investigators seized this opportunity and swiftly moved in on the remote countryside house. The moment of Brusca's arrest was a triumph for justice and a blow to the powerful grip of the Mafia. As he was hurried into Palermo's police station, the air was filled with jubilation. Dozens of police officers erupted in cheers, honked their horns, and embraced each other. It was a symbolic victory, a moment that signified the crumbling of fear and the realization that the Mafia's reign of terror could be challenged. Brusca, disheveled and worn, emerged from the car as the officers surrounded him. His scruffy beard and rumpled attire were a stark contrast to the fear he had instilled in others for years. Some officers ripped off their ski masks, a symbolic act to show that they no longer had anything to fear from the once feared Mafia enforcer. Amidst the chaotic scene, one officer managed to break through the guards and deliver a punch to Brusca's face, a small measure of retribution for the countless lives he had destroyed. In 1997, a dramatic courtroom confrontation unfolded between Brusca and Santino De Matteo, the grieving father of Giuseppe De Matteo. As they faced each other during court proceedings, emotions ran high. Bursting into tears, Santino, overwhelmed with grief and anger, made a frightening statement to the judge. He guaranteed his collaboration with the authorities but declared that he could guarantee nothing to the animal standing before him. In a moment of raw emotion, he expressed his desire for revenge, claiming that if left alone with Brusca for just 2 minutes, he would sever his head. The tension escalated, threatening to erupt into violence, but court security guards intervened, restraining Santino and preventing the situation from spiraling out of control. It was a poignant moment that showcased the deep wounds inflicted by Brusca's actions and the enduring pain felt by those who had suffered at his hands. In 1999, Brusca faced the consequences of his heinous crimes. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for the murder of Giuseppe De Matteo, a fitting punishment for the extinguished life of an innocent child. Additionally, he received another life sentence in 1997 for his role in the bomb attack that claimed the life of anti-mafia magistrate Giovanni Falcone near Capaci. Brusca openly admitted to detonating the bomb by remote control, watching the tragic events unfold through binoculars from a nearby hill. His actions had not only taken the life of a dedicated public servant, but had also sent shockwaves through society, causing irreparable damage and loss. In 2009, Brusca faced yet another life sentence, this time for the murder of Salvatore Caravà. The weight of his crimes, the lives he had snuffed out, and the suffering he had inflicted finally caught up with him. Each sentence revealed the pain he had caused and the justice that had been sought in his capture. Giovanni Brusca's arrest marked a turning point in the fight against the Mafia, a moment when the authorities and the people dared to challenge these cruel criminals who seemed invincible. It was a testament to the resilience and determination of those who refused to be silenced by fear, and a glimmer of hope for a future where justice would prevail over the darkest forces that plagued society. Laid before us is a very chilling photograph of a man named Giovanni Brusca. His piercing gaze seemed to penetrate the human soul, but in a real sense, this guy is a Mafian who deserves no pardon. Displayed in vivid detail was a drum, filled to the brim with crimson liquid blood. While he claimed to have murdered more than 100 people, could it be that he stored their blood in the blood tank? The macabre tableau seemed like an artist's twisted creation, invoking real wonders and repulsion. How do we even explain the description? Giovanni Brusca, the Italian Mafia's deadliest hitman. With trembling hands, Brusca has a compendium of tales of his violent exploits and cold-blooded acts of brutality that had spread like wildfire within the criminal underworld. A man known for his lethal precision, he had left a trail of destruction in his wake, extinguishing lives without a second thought. But who was he beyond the label of a ruthless hitman? What drove him to commit such heinous acts? You're in for a super wonder and revelation. Feel free to share your opinions about this guy's crime trail and what the Italian government did with his release. After being arrested, Giovanni Brusca started cooperating with the police. However, his willingness to help was initially met with doubt and suspicion. People were concerned that he might be pretending to feel remorse in order to avoid harsh punishment for his role as a high-ranking Mafia member. At first, the information Brusca provided turned out to be difficult to verify or completely false. This led many politicians to call for stricter rules and regulations regarding collaboration with criminals like Brusca. One of the controversial claims made by Brusca was regarding the capture of Toto Riina, another prominent Mafia boss. Brusca alleged that there was a secret deal between Carabinieri officers, secret agents, and Cosa Nostra bosses who were tired of Riina's dictatorship. According to Brusca, Bernardo Provenzano sold Riina in exchange for the valuable archive of compromising material that Riina had in his apartment. Brusca also claimed that Riina had informed him that he had been in indirect negotiations with the interior minister at the time, Nicola Mancino, to prevent further killings. Mancino denied these claims, but in July 2012, he was ordered to stand trial for withholding evidence related to talks between the Italian state and the Mafia in 1992, as well as the murders of Falcone and Borsellino. Brusca was held in Rebibbia prison in Rome. Despite his repeated requests for house arrest starting in 2002, all of them were denied. However, in 2004, it was reported that Brusca was allowed to leave prison for 1 week every 45 days to visit his family. This privilege was seen as a reward for his good behavior and cooperation with the authorities. As a result of his collaboration, his prison sentence was reduced to 26 years. On May 31, 2021, there was significant controversy surrounding Brusca's release from prison, 45 days before his sentence was due to end. He was granted parole for 4 years. Many people were upset about this decision, and politicians such as Matteo Salvini and Enrico Letta criticized the release of Brusca, questioning the appropriateness of such a decision. Confiscated properties, The Brusca family's land was confiscated by the government and later given to an organization known as the Consortium for Legal Development in 2000. The purpose of this organization is to restore properties that were taken from imprisoned Mafia members and repurpose them for the benefit of the community. One such property is a small stone farmhouse located in San Giuseppe Hato, about 40 minutes away from Palermo. In 2004, the farmhouse was renovated and transformed into Sicily's first anti-mafia agriturismo, which is a farmstay accommodation. Visitors to the agriturismo can enjoy various amenities and experiences centered around organic farming. For instance, the wheat grown on Brusca's land is milled to produce organic pasta, which guests can savor. Additionally, the vineyards on the property are used to produce organic wine, which is made by the Placido Risotto Cooperative. This cooperative is named after a union leader from Corleone, who was tragically assassinated by the Mafia in 1948. The transformation of the Brusca family's confiscated land into an agriturismo serves as a symbolic gesture of reclaiming and repurposing the resources that were once connected to the Mafia's criminal activities. It also provided an opportunity for tourists to support local initiatives and enjoy the products of organic farming in a beautiful Sicilian setting. Public revolt. Despite his release from prison, Brusca will still be subject to 4 years of probation, during which he will be given a new identity and placed in an undisclosed location under Italy's witness protection program. Brusca's release drew condemnation from many Italians who believed that his cooperation with the justice system was not entirely genuine. Labeled in public posts as Giovanni Brusca, the Italian Mafia's deadliest hitman, his sentiment was similar to the reaction when his brother Enzo Brusca, also a mobster turned informant, was released from prison in 2003 to serve the remainder of his 30-year sentence under house arrest. Brusca could have revealed much more than he did, and he chose not to, said Claudio Fava, president of Sicily's Anti-Mafia Commission, expressing his disappointment in Giovanni Brusca's collaboration. Fava lamented that even after 30 years, the truth about the massacres orchestrated by the Mafia remained captive to silence, cowardice, and lies. Rosaria Costa, the widow of a police officer who died alongside Giovanni Falcone, shared Fava's concerns. In an interview with Corriere della Sera, she argued that Brusca only cooperated with magistrates to reap personal benefits, and that it was not a genuine or heartfelt decision on his part. Tina Montanaro, another widow who lost her husband in the 1992 bombing, also expressed her condemnation of Brusca's release. She criticized the fact that after 29 years, the truth about the massacres still remained unknown, while the man responsible for destroying her family was now free. Politician Matteo Salvini, leader of the far-right League Party, took to Twitter to express his dissatisfaction with Brusca's release, stating that it was not the justice that Italians deserved. However, Pietro Grasso, an Italian senator and former magistrate who had worked closely with Falcone and Borsellino, viewed Brusca's case differently. He wrote on Facebook that the state had won not once, but 3 times against Brusca. The first victory was his arrest, as Brusca was considered one of the most brutal and prolific criminals in Italian history. Culture reveal. Giovanni Brusca, the former high-ranking Mafia member, has been portrayed in several Italian TV series and films. In the 2007 Italian TV series Il Capo dei Capi, the boss of the bosses, Brusca's character is depicted. The series explores the history of the Mafia and its influential figures. Another TV series, Il Cacciatore, the Hunter, which aired in 2018, covers a significant period that spans 3 seasons. It starts after the assassinations of Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino, 2 prominent anti-mafia prosecutors, and follows the events leading to Brusca's arrest and subsequent imprisonment. The series delves into the investigations and efforts to bring Brusca to justice. Also in the 2019 films Il Traditore, The Traitor, Brusca is portrayed. The movie tells the true story of Tommaso Buscetta, a former Sicilian mafia member turned informant, and his collaboration with the authorities. Brusca's character plays a role in the narrative as one of the figures involved in the mafia's inner workings. The TV series and films that feature Giovanni Brusca help people understand his role in organized crime and how he later worked with the justice system. These portrayals tell fictionalized stories about his life and give viewers a better understanding of the larger fight against the mafia in Italy. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.